Something big could be brewing inside Red Bull, and it might unfold quicker than anyone expects. Sebastian Vettel, yes, the same man who led Red Bull's golden era from 2010 to 2013, is now being talked about as a strong option to take over from Helmut Marko. The longtime Red Bull advisor has mentioned this possibility himself, making it more than just a rumor. The idea doesn't seem so far-fetched anymore. But the bigger question is, what would Vettel's presence mean for the team's internal framework? And is he the right person for such a role? One thing's certain, Vettel hasn't completely stepped away from Formula One. He's openly shared that he misses the thrill of racing. But instead of trying to get back into the driver's seat, he may be headed in a completely different direction. Over the years, Sebastian has taken on a strong role as an advocate for the sport, showing his influence goes far beyond just driving. Word is, he might step in as Red Bull's next key figure behind the scenes, filling in for Marko. That idea has raised some eyebrows, but if you look at what Fernando Alonso is doing post-retirement with Aston Martin, it begins to make more sense. Interestingly, a recent twist added weight to this potential shift. Vettel completed a 4-day business course at Harvard. It wasn't some casual seminar either. This program was aimed specifically at those looking to build serious careers in sports management. It's a clear sign he's gearing up for something meaningful, and while people might question how useful a short course can be, it's not the duration that matters. It's the intent. Sebastian seems to be preparing himself for leadership, not just in terms of racing knowledge, but also in mentoring and spotting talent that may otherwise go unnoticed. If he takes on Marko's current role, it would give him a direct hand in shaping Red Bull's future stars. Even Helmut Marko himself has spoken about this possibility. He's hinted that Vettel could be the ideal choice when the time comes for him to step back. According to Marko, Sebastian has a clear idea of what direction he wants to take in the sport. And that direction still strongly connects to racing. Of course, Marko clarified that no in-depth discussions have taken place yet. There are plenty of candidates and no final decision has been made. But the door is definitely open. And let's not forget, Vettel already has some experience guiding others. He's been mentoring young female karting drivers in Saudi Arabia. Plus, his strategic thinking during his time in F1 was always one of his strongest qualities. If he does end up replacing Marko, many insiders believe he'd need just a couple of races to get comfortable. His fresh approach might even bring something new to Red Bull's development system. Interestingly, Vettel's off-track interests could actually strengthen his case. In Austria, he owns forest land and manages his own hunting grounds, activities that require patience, leadership, and long-term planning. These are the same qualities needed when managing a driver program like Red Bull's. Taking over from someone as influential as Marko would be a major step, but Vettel's mix of racing experience and personal discipline could make it a smooth transition. Still, we can't overlook the kind of legacy Marko would be leaving behind. Red Bull's current success owes a lot to the drivers Marko helped rise through the ranks. Names like Vettel himself, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Albon, Gasly, and most recently, Arvid Lindblad, who's seen as a strong option for a 2026 seat. Whoever takes over that role will have huge expectations to meet, and Vettel knows that better than anyone. Marko's opinions hold serious weight inside the Red Bull camp. He's not someone who sugarcoats anything, and that honesty has earned him both respect and criticism. One example of how close he is to the team can be seen in his relationship with Max Verstappen. The Dutch driver has publicly supported Marko to the point of warning Red Bull that if Marko is pushed out, he might consider walking away too. Marko later commented that such statements weren't necessary, but they show how strong their bond is. Since retiring, Vettel has mostly stayed away from the paddock. His focus shifted heavily toward environmental work and family, but that doesn't mean his influence in motorsports has faded. If anything, it seems he's just waiting for the right position where he can truly make an impact. And perhaps leading Red Bull's junior talent program could be that position. His mindset, combined with his compassion and experience, could shape a very different path for future drivers. Look at how he and Marko reacted differently to Lando Norris's recent struggles. While Marko suggested that Norris's openness about mental health issues could cost him a title, Vettel praised Lando for being a positive figure in the racing world. That difference says a lot. Vettel seems to understand that confidence and mental well-being are key factors in modern racing. If placed in charge of nurturing young drivers, he might help unlock potential that Red Bull's current system doesn't fully recognize. We've seen talented drivers fall apart under pressure at Red Bull. Albon and Gasly are prime examples. Back then, Red Bull didn't even have the fastest car. And yet, the pressure to perform next to Verstappen was overwhelming. Ironically, both of them were brought in to replace Daniel Ricciardo, and neither lasted long. It's the kind of instability Vettel might aim to fix, especially if he's handed more control over the development process. Vettel's relationship with the Red Bull hierarchy, particularly with Christian Horner, could play a major role in how this transition unfolds. They've always had mutual respect, and it's no secret that Horner values Sebastian's insight. Some insiders believe Horner might already be laying the groundwork behind the scenes, aligning Red Bull's future leadership structure in a way that brings Vettel into a key advisory role. Let's be honest. Marko can't continue in his position forever. He's well into his 80s, and even though he still travels with the team to every race, there's no denying that a change will eventually be needed. That change could arrive sooner than many expected, especially considering the ongoing tension within Red Bull's leadership. Reports have surfaced hinting at internal power struggles, quiet at first, but now becoming harder to ignore. Some say there's a clear divide between Red Bull's Austrian base and the UK management led by Horner. The support Horner received from the Thai ownership only deepened that divide. These internal shifts might end up being the push that leads to Marko stepping aside, whether voluntarily or otherwise. If Vettel does take on this new challenge, it would raise an important question. What kind of culture will he create in Red Bull's development program? So far, the program has operated with an unforgiving attitude. Perform quickly or you're out. There's not much room for adjustment or patience. Vettel, having gone through the highs and lows of a long F1 career, might bring more empathy and balance to the table. And let's not forget what happened with Liam Lawson. After 2 appearances where he didn't meet expectations, he was sent back to the sidelines, not even allowed to drive at Suzuka, a track he knows well from his Super Formula days. Many fans and analysts found this move harsh. Under someone like Vettel, things might be handled differently. Instead of short-term judgment, there could be more focus on nurturing raw talent and building long-term confidence. Thinking about Vettel stepping into a leadership role makes you wonder how Red Bull's talent system might evolve under his influence. For years, the second seat next to Verstappen has felt more like a revolving door than a stable position. Drivers like Perez, Lawson, and Tsunoda have all shown flashes of potential, yet consistently struggled to get fully comfortable with the car. That's not a coincidence. It raises real questions about how the car is developed and whether it truly allows other drivers to perform at their best. It's not about blaming Max Verstappen either. He's earned his place and built his driving style around a very particular car setup. But if Red Bull only tunes the car to fit one driver, it makes it extremely difficult for anyone else to succeed. A driver like Vettel, who understands the value of balance and development from both a driving and team perspective, might push for more flexibility in car design and setup, giving younger talents a real chance to adapt and grow. Right now, Red Bull operates in a way where mistakes come with heavy consequences. There's little tolerance for slow starts or adjustment periods. That might work in the short term, but over time, it risks burning through potential champions before they've even had a fair shot. Vettel might choose a different path, one that values progression and learning, especially for rookies. There's also the issue of trust within the system. When a young driver knows that one mistake could cost them their seat, it's hard to drive freely. It builds pressure, not confidence. And history shows us that pressure without support can break even the most promising racers. With Vettel's experience and calm demeanor, he might introduce a new tone, one focused more on building up rather than weeding out. This kind of shift wouldn't just benefit the drivers. It could also create a more stable and effective team environment, something that's been lacking in the second Red Bull seat for a long time. So if Vettel does step into Helmut Marko's shoes, it won't just be a change of title. It could be the start of a whole new era at Red Bull. An era where future stars are given space to grow, rather than being thrown into the spotlight and judged instantly. His calm, focused approach and deep understanding of both racing and driver psychology might help build a healthier system, one where mistakes are part of the learning process, not the end of the road. Marko's time has been full of success stories, but also moments that raised eyebrows. His methods created champions, yes, but they also led to several careers being cut short. A leadership shift towards someone like Vettel could bring more balance, where talent is shaped with patience, not pressure. It's important to recognize that Vettel wouldn't be starting from zero. His history with Red Bull, his leadership in the paddock, and his global influence outside racing make him more than just a retired driver. He's someone who understands how to handle responsibility, expectations, and long-term planning. His Harvard certificate might seem like a minor detail to some, but it's clear proof that he's preparing himself for a serious role in motorsport's future. At the same time, Red Bull can't afford to make sentimental choices. They need someone who can deliver results, maintain their sharp edge, and lead the junior program into its next chapter. Whether Vettel is the right man for the job remains to be seen, but he certainly brings qualities that are hard to ignore. As the situation develops, one thing is clear: changes are coming. And if Red Bull wants to stay ahead, they'll need to think carefully about who they trust with the next generation of their racing talent. Could that person be Sebastian Vettel? Only time will tell.